There's no denying that The Sopranos is one of, if not the single greatest television series of all time, as it sparked a new generation of television that focused on violence being a regular occurrence in modern television, and introduced all of us to the anti-hero that we all know and love today. With shows like Breaking Bad, Dexter, Narcos, and The Wire all heavily inspired by The Sopranos' approach to television and its introduction of an anti-hero. Many fans of The Sopranos tend to believe the series is complete perfection, as it has no flaws in its acting, editing, writing, directing, storyline, and plot development. But throughout The Sopranos' runtime, views and interest into the series began to dip, as many fans and critics of the series would tend to look at the ratings fall as a downfall of The Sopranos. But when was the so-called downfall of The Sopranos, and why did it happen? This is the rise and fall of The Sopranos. Before we get started, be sure to click subscribe and click the bell to get notifications on all upcoming Sopranos content. Be sure to follow me on X and Instagram, as well as TikTok and my Patreon. Links will be in the description below. Of course, The Sopranos was a massive success throughout its run on television, and it's even more impressive when we look back at the fact that the series was only available on a paid premium cable network in HBO, which at the time wasn't the most popular in American households. It's safe to say that the series took off and ran with its audience, even despite the slow burn of a first season in season 1. As at the time of the first season, many critics and fans began to question the entire integrity and overall plot of The Sopranos. As while the series itself was, yes, a show based off the mafia, it took 5 episodes for the series to prove to us its main character in Tony Soprano is in fact a ruthless mob boss, as this was now infamously shown to us during the 5th episode of the first season in college. An episode that sees Tony track down an old mafia member who ultimately flipped and ratted out a lot of Tony's crew. However, Tony would get the last laugh, strangling Febby to death. However, these views of the first season quickly changed thanks to this single episode, as the first season of The Sopranos received a tremendous amount of positive reviews on IMDb, Metacritic, and Rotten Tomatoes. But when we look back at the ratings chart of The Sopranos, we can see towards the end of the 4th season, and once the 5th season began, is where the ratings and interest started to dip, as the season premieres, finales, and average viewers of all seasons all declined as the series continued, even despite the engaging storylines that took place throughout seasons 4, 5, and 6. As it's within these seasons that showcases some of The Sopranos' best work. Between the fight Tony and Carmela had about Furio that took place during the season 4 finale, the war that started it all between New York and New Jersey thanks to the hands of Tony Blundetto, and the shocking tale of Uncle Junior shooting Tony, albeit from his Alzheimer's, in the pilot episode of season 6. However, it's season 5 that ultimately is the reasoning for The Sopranos' apparent downfall, as throughout this season, there are plenty of episodes and storylines that are unengaging and weird character interactions that didn't fit the overall plot of the season. Between Adriana cooperating with the FBI, the bear in the backyard of the Soprano home, the introduction of Tony Blundetto, the relationship Tony had with Adriana, the awkward divorce between Carmela and Tony, the strange test dream episode, and the introduction of Fran Felstein all made season 5 unappealing and unengaging to audiences. Although season 5 is similar to season 1 with its slow burn of a storyline and plot development, its endings are by far some of the series' best work, with the episodes of Long-Term Parking and All Due Respect that showcase the shocking murders of Adriana and Tony Blundetto. However, despite these 2 episodes, it's clear to see why ratings and views struggled during the 5th season and continued to struggle as The Sopranos went on. And it's actually season 5 that is the lowest rated season by critics. While The Sopranos is and was the most watched cable television series, around this time is when the series was losing millions of viewers. And when we look back at the season 6 pilot episode, an episode that had so much going for it, From the suicide of Eugene Pontecorvo and Uncle Junior shooting Tony, its ratings took a 20% dip from the previous season 5 pilot episode. A big part of why the series' ratings took a hit is the delay that the series had between seasons, as the season 4 ending aired in December of 2002 and the pilot episode of season 5 aired in March of 2004. So having fans wait around for 2 years is certainly not ideal, as this resulted in HBO subscribers to cancel their subscription and also to forget what was going on within The Sopranos, as fans of the series hadn't seen an episode for nearly 2 years. But also during this time, with the cancellations of HBO subscriptions, audiences were introduced to rival competition for The Sopranos, as other shows like Desperate Housewives averaged over 20 million viewers a week. And the ladies on Wisteria Lane in Desperate Housewives only made matters worse for Tony and the gang, as their show too aired on Sunday nights and at the same time of 9 p.m. Eastern. And it didn't help that Sunday Night Football was also airing during this time as well. Another reason for the downfall of The Sopranos was the storylines that came about in the later half of the series, as there were plenty of dream episodes that featured Tony in a coma, and unengaging characters and storylines. Whether it was Vito's homosexuality or the fact that Tony was trying to prove his toughness to his crew. And with all of this going on, The Sopranos was also faced with discrimination and negative stereotypes surrounding the series, as the show was constantly being accused of perpetuating negative stereotypes about Italian Americans. Whether it was the deception of organized crime being associated with Italian Americans and the violence against women that we would see constantly throughout the series. This was such a big issue for The Sopranos that in 2002, members of The Sopranos' cast were forbidden to attend the Columbus Day Parade in New York City. However, despite all of this, the loss of viewers, the negative stereotypes and discrimination towards Italian Americans, the unengaging storylines and characters, The Sopranos rose back to the top of television ratings thanks to the pandemic that took place in 2020, as it was during this time where individuals were stuck at home binging The Sopranos. As the series has now become more popular than ever, with merchandise, Funko Pops, memes, and Instagram accounts all surfacing over the last few years, all contributing to the rise of The Sopranos once again. What are your thoughts about the rise and fall of The Sopranos? Let me know down in the comment section below. For more Sopranos content, keep it locked here, right here on this channel.